and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted with joy of Naomi. He's come all the way from Boston to be with us with her fantastic horror, Lovely. Let's take another clip.
Ria! I told you to stand there, by the staircase.
I was just trying to
Never do that again. There's too many dangers here. Now come, I have the flower.
Naomi, thank you for joining us and welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family. Your film, we know we loved your film, but on the big screen it was even more scary. Amazing. How are you doing though? You doing okay?
I'm doing so good. No, it's been such an incredible weekend and meeting incredible filmmakers, meeting you finally in person.
Yeah.
It's been so energizing.
Oh, good. Well, we're so grateful to have you because obviously we couldn't do it without, great filmmakers. Lovely is I don't know if it's lovely at times, I'll be honest, but no, for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Absolutely. So Lovely is a horror short. It's about a young Indian American woman, and she's living with her mother in her above her family's grocery store. And in order to seek her mother's approval, she goes downstairs and meets a mysterious woman who promises her fairer skin and lighter skin. And overall, the horror is a contemplation about skin bleaching and colorism within my own community. And I wanted to do it through horror because genre is always a good time, but I think you're able to be more vulnerable while watching horror and to kind of sit with yourself and the themes. So
that's such a good observation as well, honestly. But I just want to, commend you for making such an important film as well, because I think I know it's your first horror that you made, and I'm dying for your next one. But actually the kind of subject itself is horrifying, and it's desperately sad, and I'm so glad that you brought the attention to it because it is really, really an important one. Tell us a little bit about where the inspiration came for you and sort of like, I want to make this idea and I want to turn it into a film.
Absolutely. So thank you for all of those wonderful comments. Yeah, so the inspiration really came from my own experiences within my community, and overall kind of trying to figure out how do I even understand how I can feel beautiful again.
Yeah.
And that is interesting because it comes from my community, but it also comes from being an American and having both of these ideals of beauty conflicting and working together to make you feel horrible all the time. So it's it really came from personal experiences. And then what was beautiful about making this project is I was surrounded by a lot of people who experienced this in different aspects. Mm-hmm. It's not just skin bleaching, it's a lot of people, we're talking about colorism in their own communities, we're talking about beauty standards in their own communities, and that's when it started to hit off, oh, this is universal. This isn't just, it is very specific, but it's speaking to something that really hits for people across the board. Yeah. And I got to work with incredible actresses that had their own experiences different than mine and brought so much nuance to the story. So my inspiration was my team, truly.
Yeah, but I mean, something that's like, that's personal within community, it's amazing, even as hard as it is of a subject, that realizing it's universal, and obviously everyone's got their own experiences with that as well. Speaking of your actors, my goodness, I mean, I was captivated by just their energy and I mean, even through the eyes, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much they gave. How did you go about bringing your cast together?
Great question. This was a student film through USC, so this was my MFA capstone project. Wow. So we have, things in place that we get to use breakdown services. We have the honor of using SAG actors, which was incredible. Yeah. And honestly, it just came down to, timing. Production is always a little crazy, but we managed to get such incredible actors that really connected with the material. And as a director, I always want, when I'm working with actors, it has to be a conversation. I want to see what they're going to bring, what they're seeing. And I was the writer too, which was a good benefit because I could bring in little details. And I remember working with the demon, or the woman that's in it. It's amazing.
She plays a good demon. but her character change is scary. I was like,
It's fast.
sitting home, my cat's watching that, and I was like, oh.
I'm so sorry. I hope your cats were okay. No, but she was able to, and in a short, you have to do it efficiently, and she was able to do that very quickly without feeling out of character.
Yeah.
And again, with my mother and Ria, both those actors were just, Susie and Ashwini were incredible, and were just able to. I think when I met them in the audition process, I'm like, they get it. Yeah. And that's the spark I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Good acting can come out, talent is always there, mm-hmm. But I think it's the ability to work together. That's my biggest thing, and willing to bring your own experience to it. It's so collaborative, and that's my approach as a director. And I found such great actresses.
You did, but then you're a great director, so they gravitated towards you. And what's your process working with your actors? Like, how did that work? Especially in this kind of like, this wasn't exactly the easiest of A subjects, but B also, it's a lot of blood.
Oh my God, so many stunts, and they were such troopers. I am so grateful for them. Yeah. And it was, I think, you know, I never want to be looking down at any person in my crew. It's always like this. So anything that they're like, hey, can I talk to you about this? Let's talk right now. We're going to take 5. We're going to, always being comfortable on set was my key. And I was a student at the time, so I was still learning and still understanding how to actually execute that. And my actresses were so incredible and like, held me through it too. So that was, I really, it's always a community, like, always open communication, always a big conversation. When I give directions, always a conversation and always reciprocal. It's like, how does this feel for you? This is what I noticed on the take. Can we try this style? So that's my style with directing. And even with my crew, I try my best to always pay attention to them. Because as a director, I think there's a lot of discussion of, oh, you're the leader, you're the front person. You have an entire team you're leading, and that's you are also a teammate to them. So that's my approach to directing with actors and then with my crew. Sorry, if that went a little long.
No, it's great, and it's wonderful. You know, your team is everything, isn't it? Your team, your trust, it becomes this family, doesn't it? So it absolutely. So what would you kind of say, looking back on this, I mean, what would you say was the biggest challenge in making this?
I mean, so many. Well, in film, that's the exciting thing about filmmaking. But I mean, full disclosure, this was happening when, so I was working in post-production at Disney at the same time. So this was my first job while also being in school. So that was intense. I was also editing my first Unreal Engine short. So that was with a really good friend of mine from USC. And that was, I was like cutting my teeth, you know, like into it and pun intended. And then also, unfortunately, my dad was in a coma at the time. He's totally fine. He's totally fine. But it was so much happening at once. And it was interesting because I wanted to do thesis to only focus on directing. And of course, life is not going to let you do your plan. And those were the biggest challenges of emotionally being present during the scenes and during being on set. But again, I have to give so much credit to my crew because they knew what was going on. And when I needed a 5-minute break, or when I just needed to breathe, or when I really just wanted to get into it and throw myself at the work, they were there for every adjustment. And I cannot thank them enough, because that's my biggest advice to filmmakers is the budget will come, the film school and clout will come, all of this will come, but if you have people and support outside and inside of the project, that's going to get you further. And that's what's going to get you to completion, because everything else will come. It's hard to find good people and people that will stand by you. And I have been so blessed to find those people.
So you obviously had a really great support team as well. Yeah, tell us about how you felt about that.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was going through a really tough time during filming, and having people that have got your back, and again, got your back not on set, but also your family, your friends, your chosen family, whoever is part of your creative process, that's so key. And that's more important to me than, finding I mean, of course those are important, finding the budget, going to a great film school, finding the connections, but it's the people who are with you throughout all of it.
Yeah.
That's so key. And that's how I think I'm able to create my work, because as creatives, it's all of this is so vulnerable. Oh, this was so
Of course, absolutely. And, you know, and just there's so much, and in your film particularly as well, you know, I mean, again, I know it's scary making a horror, and then you kind of also, you're mixing that with just, you know, some very, very important messages about things that actually exist in and around the world. And I'm just curious, aside from scaring us with the great demon at the end, because I was, but, you know, and that was fantastic and really good effects as well. I was like, I can't believe it was your first horror though.
Makeup artists, incredible. All of my stunt people, incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you want your audience to take from your film?
Great question, and I think that's why I took a lot of time in pre-production for this, because when you're dealing with horror and cultural horror, and specifically, you don't want to perpetuate the same stereotypes that maybe I'm biased to or something like that. So there was a lot of working with my entire team, figuring out what's the best way to tell this story. And I hope the audience comes away with, you know, be yourself. It's and it's so easy for me to say because it's such a struggle to even do that. Yeah. And I hope the audience comes away with, you are beautiful the way you are. Yeah. There are these systems that just tell us we're horrible people or we look horrible or all of these things, but that is not important. And that these are horrible, really. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought a little bit. I'm getting emotional with it. No, but I think with my audience, I hope they look inward and realize how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
And there are so many factors in society and all of these elements that tell us we're not. And I hope and this is for the mothers, the daughters, the fathers, the children, it's every generation has experienced a form of this. And I hope that this story can give them an embrace, like at the end, and that love of you're seen and you're beautiful and you deserve and not being in pain.
You did that. You definitely did that. Honestly, I think your film should be seen in a lot of places and everywhere, because not only are you gonna educate many and remind many, you're also gonna empower people to feel beautiful about themselves, for sure. And I just want to go on to say, like, you know, making what you described as a cultural horror movie, you know, the horror is actually in the reality. And this is a reality that we don't want to keep continuing. So without you making the film, we're not going to bridge further to being better in this world and society. So thank you. So what is next for you?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I'm working on 2 projects. One of them is about the Comanche people, and it's a really interesting documentary that I'm really excited about. And then I'm also, my day job, I work with Harvard Medical School and work with their Office of External Education. Wow. So I help edit a lot of really interesting educational videos that help either physicians to, you know, ordinary people understand their diagnoses and stuff like that. Wow. And I also just came off of a Disney feature project. Mufasa just dropped their trailer. Yeah.
Mufasa? Yeah. Oh, I did it in the voice. Mufasa?
And I was really lucky enough to be a very small part of the post-production process. So editing is kind of my passion in that sense. And then in directing and writing, I'm working on a lot of horror shorts and just having the space finally to work on them and to create. It's been a minute since I've actually written, and the creative energy is so interesting because it comes and goes, and when it comes and shows up, you have to pay attention to it.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Well,
and
yeah, so go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I'm working on two shorts and 1 limited series.
I'm so glad you're a filmmaker, because we need you, and you're doing some fantastic things. So just thank you so much. Welcome to NewFilmmakers LA family. Please keep making more things so we can screen them. And congratulations on Lovely. Thank you so much.